Every competition has a sound.
What in God's name is that from Snacks? Unbelievable!
A cadence and timbre that reaches down to the screen and brings it to life before your eyes.
Arthur! You thief in the night!
The enchanting tones of the characters, the familiar clash of the battles, and of course, the voices that carry it to you. After all, they're the sound of eSports.
I never doubted him! I never doubted them!
And there are few more memorable than MonteCristo and DoA.
No, Faker may be in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves! Faker, what was that?
Faker with a huge play, the QSS.
I can't believe I just saw
he
that.
actually won that duel.
I can't
as
believe that
SK
happened.
Telecom just charges into the KT Bullets base.
United around the world's best and most competitive League of Legends region, they redefine the way fans digest esports.
Three-man taunt!
A three-man taunt! Who's gonna go down? Impact!
They paved their own way and brought their personality to their casts in a way that was lacking in the scene.
WTF! Two Shens!
Two
What?
Shens!
Two Shens!
This is the story of a segment of the voice of League of Legends, and later, Blizzard's Overwatch League.
Big Boss Pine is on the scene!
Of standing up for your peers and trailblazing your craft. This is the story of Monte and DoA. Christopher MonteCristo Mickles and Eric DoA Longquist met in South Korea back in 2012. DoA had moved to Korea to work for OGN as a StarCraft and League of Legends caster, and was tasked with finding an analyst to work with in the burgeoning League scene.
Was working at OGN at the time, was more familiar with the League of Legends scene, and kind of came up with a list of people, and gave me the breakdown on all of them, and Monty came up, and he the words he used were like, this guy is very professional, but he's also kind of mean, and but he's also very mature and all that, and I was like, that sounds great actually. I'd like to work with someone who's got a bit more maturity about them and everything like that.
From there, the duo jumped into the vastly expanding League of Legends ecosystem together. They were tasked with casting OGN's The Champions in Korea, which later became known as the LCK.
Welcome everybody to OGN Champion Spring. I am DoA. With me, as always, is MonteCristo, and we have day 3 today. That's right, we're already finishing our first week of Champion Spring. It's insane.
DoA was relatively new to the game, so he relied on his previous play-by-play experience while Monty focused on the technical side of the cast.
Welcome back to the MLG Fall Championship. It's Championship Sunday, and we have a championship caliber replay for you on this NOS Pro Performance Analysis.
It was then, when the world's greatest League of Legends scene was still in its infancy, that the duo cut their teeth.
And I don't know how exactly they're playing.
Goodbye. Gee, that was a shocking maneuver, wasn't it? Goodbye, Nolja.
In its early days, esports casting was very similar to that of traditional sports.
Off the play action, touchdown, Keith Cash.
But what was so unique about Monty and DoA in their early years was the extent to which they pushed against the status quo.
He really understands the pacing of a broadcast, when to dial things back, when to change the focus of the broadcast off of the esports. And that sounds really strange, but our audience doesn't want us to focus purely on the game.
It didn't take much time for the Korean scene to grow and attract a lot of eyes. But that didn't mean the viewer experience was going to be entertaining. The kind of plodding, surgical style that Korean players are known for doesn't exactly jump off the screen. And that's where this dynamic duo jumped in.
Oh, he's got a ward. Can he catch him? I don't know, man. I don't know if he quite catch him. It looks like they did win the fight. Oh, he gets the Q. There it is. And the execute. The Lannisters send their regards.
Monty and DoA quickly garnered a reputation for their off-topic banter, the way they let viewers in and showed their off-camera personalities while in the booth.
Put the sugar in the hot chocolate.
I think it's a mallow.
Put the mallow in the hot chocolate. Whatever. Put the lotion in the basket. I don't know. Put something in something.
Does number of legs correlate to speed?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Have you ever seen like one of those centipedes move, man? They're terrifying.
That's why Odin's horse, 8-legged horse, was so fast, right?
Are you referring to Sleipnir?
Sleipnir, yes.
Yeah, 8-legged horse. Yeah, see?
The league meta has often been at its slowest in Korea. On average, Korean teams opt for a slow and steady, risk-averse playstyle. And something had to fill that downtime. That's where what we now know as a Monte and DoA cast was created.
And look at that gum just being worked. We always find the best camera shots here. That's true. That's right. It's almost like they read our minds and be like, what would you like to see in high definition, up close? I'm like, I want to see a pro gamer chewing gum. Yes. Faker's like, are these the hands that will smite CJ into...
And that was why the community fell in love with Monte and DoA. We felt like we got to know them better with each passing broadcast. They taught us about supportal combat.
And that is nearly an ace. It's going to be an ace. Supportal combat! Oh! Amazing takes that he should not have gotten in the way.
Introduced us to the Rain Bros.
Remember that one season where we picked rainbow suits the same day,
every
day of the season?
I'm really glad you wore that out the other night, when we went and hit the clubs. That was a great choice, I thought. Yeah, that was awesome.
And reminded us of DoA's hatred for Nami singing.
Shut up, Nami.
Wow, get the full channel on that one.
Oh, right. They know I hate it.
And Lissandra's voice lines.
I don't know why in the Korean client they made Lissandra have to make some noise like she's choking to death every time she autos. Like she's made of ice.
And it was that willingness to break the fourth wall and let the viewers into their world that led to their increasing celebrity.
But a lot of it's just our personality. It's just kind of the way we act on the cast, outside the cast. It's kind of who we are. And League of Legends had that downtime kind of that gave you a little bit more time to bring that out.
And of course, there was that one line during the 2013 Korean Summer Finals that kinda broke the internet.
Boy, I think he's in the bed. Oh, Faker may be in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves! Faker, what was that? Faker with a huge play, the QSS. I can't believe I just saw
he
that.
Actually won that duel.
I can't
as
believe that
SK
happened.
Telecom just charges into the KT Bullets base.
With one line, DoA cemented his place among esports royalty.
It was just, my mind was just blown. I kind of just lost it, and it was just kind of a culmination of all the excitement both inside the game and outside the game that encapsulated that entire sort of day. It was a pretty unforgettable experience, that's for sure.
Another one of the catalysts for Monte and DoA's rise came later that year during the broadcast of the 2013 World Championship.
Who will win the Season 3 World Championship, SK Telecom T1 or Royal Club?
Well, you know my pick. All aboard the Korean hype train, SK Telecom T1 for the championship. Hands down, I've got my tickets here. I got tickets to the Korean hype train, and I will be giving them out. It's your last chance. First class still available, Crepo. Here, let me go ahead. I'll go ahead and punch this for you. There you go.
As SK Telecom T1 and Faker swept Royal Club 3-0 in front of a sold-out Staples Center, Korea became League's most important region overnight.
This could be a 20-minute game for SK Telecom. They will be the Season 3 World Champions here at the Staples Center.
If 2013 was the year that Korea made its mark on the international scene, then 2014 marked the beginning of the region's dominance.
Hey guys, welcome to Champions Summer. I'm DoA, that's MonteCristo. Today, our final semi-final match. It's a Samsung face-off. It is time. I think it's going to be really fun, man, because today we have not only the best team conceivably in Korea and maybe the world, but also the second team in Korea and maybe the world.
But 2014 also featured one of the most competitive and beloved domestic finals in Korean history.
All right, hey guys, it is time for the Champions Summer Grand Finals opening. Yes, I just forgot why I was here for a moment. I couldn't help it. I think we actually just witnessed the grand finals of Twitch chat. But now it's the grand finals of League of Legends. That's right, KT Arrows versus Samsung Blue.
This 5-game set will go down in Korean League of Legends history. And of course, it was Monty and DoA who tracked the sounds that fans will never forget.
Is KT Arrows gonna take it right here? The Nexus is going down. All they need to do is focus it. Oh my gosh, they're doing it. KT Arrows, they take Champion Summer. Are you No way!
At that year's World Championship, Samsung fielded 2 star-studded lineups, and Korea would go on to defend their Worlds title.
The second Nexus are in full. They're going to focus in on the Nexus itself, and Samsung White are the 2014 World Champions.
As 2014 came to an end, many of Korea's brightest stars were drawn away from the region in favor of larger contracts elsewhere. Dubbed the Great Korean Exodus, Monty and DoA found themselves entering a new era of Korean League.
Basically the 2 best teams in the league, every single star player that was a fan favorite that was amazing in 2014 was now gone.
And what that ended up meaning was a continuation of their love affair with the greatest League of Legends team of all time, SK Telecom T1.
And there it is, the first Nexus turret down, the second Nexus turret down, a triple kill for Marin, and SKT with Top, with EasyHoon, takes the 3-0, GG, we'll see you at the Invitational.
As you might imagine, this kind of once-in-a-lifetime team pairs pretty well with a casting duo as beloved as Monty and DoA.
Hello and welcome to the League of Legends World Championship Korea Regionals. I'm Shen, with me is Shen, and today we see if, wait, WTF, 2 Shens!
2
What?
Shens!
2 Shens!
And this was particularly true in 2015, where the League of Legends metagame was slogged down by the late-game focused Cinderhulk meta. It was common for games in the Cinderhulk meta to go on for what seemed like forever, and it allowed the duo to shine.
It's the old Samsung brush hide.
He saw Bliss come in. Oh
He
boy.
saw everyone come in.
Oh man! No way! Oh, a double kill for Duke! And here they come, ult onto Kuve, ending this one in style. Oh, that was one of the saddest things I've ever seen.
In addition to SK Telecom's resurgence, Korea was blessed with yet another great team in 2015, the lineup that made up the GE Tigers in the spring split and the KU Tigers during summer.
I've never seen a team that is louder than the KU Tigers.
A team of misfits, the Tigers rose from relative obscurity to challenge SKT and even finished above them in the standings during the LCK Spring regular season. But 2015 was still the year of SKT.
SK Telecom, 3-0 in the spring season, 3-0 in the summer season. This is the year of SKT.
Monty and DoA followed them to Worlds that year, and that would be the only time they'd go together.
Why does anybody want to kill each other? This is a land of plenty.
No kidding, there's enough for everybody.
There's infinite Baron and Dragon meat.
Yep.
You got clean water here in the river. There's an endless supply of gold and shops to buy things at. Why fight at all?
This seems like a paradise. I mean, get rid of all these champions, man. I just want to move in and live here. I feel like for EasyHoon, getting crazy is like letting the 4 pencils in a perfect line on his desk be a little bit out of alignment. I'd be like, whoa, it's a crazy day, guys.
On the Rift and in the booth, the story of 2016 for Monty and DoA was the continued dominance of SK Telecom and the rise of the Rocks Tigers as a legitimate contender to Faker's throne.
This group of players that had either retired or been rejected by other teams comes in, no big sponsor, no big team house. It's not necessary because they are going to win LCK Summer and they are going to get a spot in Worlds again. There it is, Rocks Tigers take it, GG, it's about time.
And that is it. 3rd time is the charm in Korea for the Tigers. They finally overcome their curse. First place is theirs. Congratulations.
Now, it's not just their reputation that has historically separated Monty and DoA from the rest of League of Legends' broadcast talent. Unlike other casters who were employed by Riot Games, Monte and DoA freelanced for OGN, and it's something that both casters have been increasingly outspoken about.
Over the years, it has been difficult for us to predict or have a lot of trust in what Riot's going to do, especially in regards to us as non-Riot casters. There's been very little stability for freelancers in the scene.
The importance of autonomy and agency was never lost on them. This has at times landed them at the center of controversy, especially when the casting community needed someone to take a stand for them in 2016.
And right now, Riot is doing a very poor job of keeping up with the market in terms of their own casters. They always have.
You know, if we accepted these kinds of rates and they had kind of gone down from what they had even done the previous years, and they were saying that like casters were overpaid and all that, and we just felt that was a dangerous precedent that we didn't want set for the industry in general.
The two casters, in conjunction with their colleague Papa Smithy, penned an open letter to Riot Games, refusing to work for them at the mid-season invitational in protest of the compensation that they were providing for their casters.
You know, yeah, we were giving up, a chunk of money ourselves by writing this letter and by, kind of taking this stand.
Whenever anybody is going to be in this situation, because we're all basically going to be in this situation that I found myself in right now.
2016 will always be about where they weren't at the World Championship.
People wanted Monte and DoA, right? I'm sure people here would love to see them. Great casters in their own right. That's right. I said their name, Jad, please. But
You're
the
good.
big thing about
You're fine,
them, right?
buddy.
Everyone knows their charm, their humor, they're great broadcasters.
For all the funny moments and booming calls, their single greatest contribution to their trade was setting the mold. They made themselves irreplaceable and fought to define casting in a growing esports scene.
Goon underneath the turret. There's
That
the
call
again.
Oh, are you kidding me? Oh, I think South Korea sent the wrong person to the Olympics.
I think the most accurate shooter we have here is Arrow. Had this epiphany just now.
No, that part of the lore makes sense.
Yes? Oh, hello. Oh,
Nice.
oh well. All right. Well, guys, thanks for watching today. We're going to be back with more LCK Summer. So we play you out with this wonderful phone call in Korean. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
As his popularity continued to grow, Monte specifically was not without his fair share of controversy. Having previously served as CLG's head coach, Monte was a big voice within League of Legends, and of course one of the community's most prominent critics of Riot Games for years.
The fact that Riot casters are sort of caged in by Riot, where they can't produce their own content, they can't monetize it on their YouTubes or their Twitch. They do not get paid by independent events that they cast at, such as Intel Extreme Masters, IEM, and that their salaries are in fact pretty low when you think about the size of League of Legends in and of that it is the largest esport in the English-speaking world.
Ahead of the 2016 NALCS season, Monte became the outright owner of Renegades.
0-16. Sounds like our team's future record against the Koreans. Hi, I'm MonteCristo. What do I do for Renegades? I look good for the cameras, and that doesn't change whether we win or we lose.
The team, previously known as Misfits, was an upstart challenger squad that had been owned by Chris Badawi. That is, until Badawi was forced to step down from the team after Riot ruled that he had been trying to persuade contracted players to join the roster.
Previously, Chris Badawi was the one who did have ownership in the team. As soon as we got into the LCS, we transferred the seed to being wholly owned by a company that was wholly owned by me.
Renegades would go on to have a disappointing 5-13 spring split in 2016 before receiving even more bad news. Riot had filed a competitive ruling against the team that stated the team knowingly violated the competitive ban against Chris Badawi. The ruling claimed that Monte had committed to hand back part of Renegades to Badawi once his suspension was lifted, which, according to Riot, is grounds for violation.
Badawi is banned for the remainder of the 2015 and the entirety of the 2016 season. So he cannot be a coach, owner, or manager of the team in the official Riot capacity. Now, when it says manager, he can be the CEO of the company, he can manage the LoL team on site, he cannot be an officially named manager for the team visiting the LCS.
These allegations arose following the trade of RF Legendary, Flares, and Alex Each from Renegades to Team Dragon Knights in exchange for Seraph and Ninja. That said, Monty explicitly explained the reasoning for the trade in a video following the incident, and provides a thorough paper trail of his communications with Riot Games during the Renegades investigation.
If I was promising, which I did not, Chris Badawi a 50% ownership stake in my company that I wholly own, it would still be subject to Riot's approval for him to gain an ownership stake in my company. Therefore, I cannot have promised it to him because it was conditional on Riot's approval in the first place.
Renegades were then forced to disband and lost their LCS slot, and the ongoing feud between Monty and Riot Games hit its climax.
But I don't have a team to lose any longer. I don't have a formal relationship with the LCS to lose, which is why some of these rulings, current team owners can't speak up about them.
In retrospect, one of the biggest benefits Monty and DoA got out of maintaining their freelancer status was being able to cast other games.
Once you get sort of the process down for what you need to do personally as a caster to get ready to cast a game, at this point I feel like I could cast anything, with the proper amount of time.
On May 24th, 2016, Blizzard released Overwatch, a class-based shooter that looked primed to enter the eSports world shortly after launch. The gaming world took notice, Monty and DoA included.
An elite international task force charged with ending the war and restoring liberty to all nations. Overwatch.
When negotiating their freelancing contracts with OGN in 2017, the duo had casting Overwatch written into their contracts due to their high hopes for the game's competitive scene. This led to them getting to cast one of Overwatch's first big esports leagues, Apex in Korea.
Hey guys, welcome to Intel Overwatch Apex Season 1. I'm DoA, with me is MonteCristo, and here we go, man. It's a new game. It's Overwatch. It's going to be epic.
That's right. It's our third big game together, DoA.
That's right.
League of Legends, StarCraft 2, now Overwatch that we're casting together.
They christened this new game by once again being the soundtrack to a trailblazing final series, a caster's dream.
Sneaky is coming through.
Sneakiest Road Dogg, man. Oh, there's a hook.
Huge.
Oh, he takes on Arhan, and no Soldier 76 means this is over, man. Jin taking down kills, and that is the tournament. Envious should have no trouble at all pushing the payload. Man, the picks into the team fight win, and that is it. Envious will win Intel Overwatch Apex Season 1 with a 4-0 victory. GG.
And, as we now know, they were right. Overwatch is huge, and after Blizzard announced the Overwatch League, we all knew the game's esports future was only getting brighter.
Monty and I had a lot of time to prepare for Overwatch, so it was just a lot of practice casts with each other, talking with each other, watching games with each other to get ready for it. And, we've still got some work to do, obviously, because we're pretty new at casting Overwatch, but I think it's been pretty good so far.
And then, Monty and DoA shocked the esports world. On April 14th, 2017, they announced they'd be stepping away from League of Legends entirely, moving from Korea to LA to cast the Overwatch League.
Yeah, it's been really great, obviously, to cast 10 seasons now of League of Legends here in Korea. And we started this before LCS even existed, so it's been an honor to be able to cast the scene that has been the most dominant, the highest level league. We both have a great love for the game, and we're pretty sad to leave it behind. It certainly wasn't an easy decision.
With a few parting words and a couple glasses of scotch, they were gone. The Overwatch League was a huge commercial success in year one. They attracted massive financial groups to buy teams, big-name sponsors for the league, and their production quality was some of the best we've ever seen from eSports.
Rolling early, Jonak does go down. A res comes in from NYXL, and here comes Pine. Gets one, gets two, looking for a bit more, gets another one. Are you kidding me? This guy is going to single-handedly change the point back over to NYXL.
He's going to kill everybody.
Oh!
Okay.
Pine, Big Boss Pine is on the scene.
The game has its challenges, and both Monty and DoA respectively have remarked that it's the hardest game they've ever had to cast.
It's hugely different. It's vastly different. It's first of all, I mean, it's the hardest game I've ever casted, for sure. And you've got, I think the big difference is that you've got much more limited vision on what's happening in the game than you do in like a StarCraft or League of Legends or a Hearthstone.
It is the most difficult game I have ever cast. I actually think it is one of, if not the most difficult games that has ever existed to cast, and there are spectating issues.
But their signature style has lived on. They've made the jump to a brand new game, consulted for a brand new league, and made it out mostly unscathed.
A robot is doing the robot. I mean, what do you expect?
In the background, that's what happens.
Yes.
Build your mechs and then have them do dances in the middle of your Russian city.
Wow, what a tremendous waste of fuel. But hey, maybe they're solar powered in the future. Who knows?
It's all right. We have bigger waste of fuel in the Overwatch League, DoA.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Early on, some fans of Overwatch were critical of their banter and wanted more hype out of League of Legends' most sarcastic duo. But as time's gone on, they've managed to adapt to this new world, and even found different broadcast avenues for their wit to shine through.
What's up, Overwatch fans? It's Mad Monty and the DoA taking you through your morning drive. Uber will be here in just a bit with his tank traffic on the 10s, but we're going to talk some Overwatch League in the meantime. DoA, how are you feeling as we head into week 5 of stage 2?
What a
That's
time
great.
to
That's
be
great.
alive.
I feel that way too, DoA. You'll be seated. Okay, let's see what type of Overwatch hoodlums we're dealing with today.
They didn't just succeed, they paved the way for their peers to do the same, to make casting esports a real career.
You know, at the end of the day, you know, if you really want esports to grow, you got to have those moments where you have to stand up for yourself and for the industry and kind of accept, you know, whatever happens from that.
And Monty and DoA more or less forced their career to work. And, well, it did.
Spent 5 years of my life living in South Korea, and I loved it. But today, you know what? I'm going to be an American.
What a swerve! I did not expect this.
You did not expect this at all.
I didn't.
You know, people have been wanting me to cheer for America for years, to protect the Americans.
This is one of my top 10 anime betrayals right here. Unbelievable.
You know what, Golden Boy? Today's not that day.
No? What? There it is. Oh, no! This is a double turn. A heel turn. One of us. Oh,
it's Korea, baby.
You know, you want to learn, let's do a Korean lesson with DoA right now. The verb is 외롭다. That's Korean for lonely.
I've got our strategy spinner here, and it includes such CLG classics as win one game to give the fans false hope.
Here's the real reason why we all love esports. It's because, anyway, we love watching people fight each other in video games. That's what it's all about. That's why it's fun. That's how I'm going to end things. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for sticking with us, and we hope you will in the future. Cheers.
Thanks for watching. If you want more great content just like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button.